Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the parking lot preview. Today is game 39 right here at McKeon Park. The Hyannis Harbor Hawks are hosting the Wareham Gatemen in a big contest. Mike, happy Saturday.
Happy Saturday. Beautiful, beautiful day here in Hyannis. Can't wait for some baseball. Can't wait for some really good baseball, some really competitive baseball. Should be a really fun matchup tonight against Wareham.
It really should. And guys, before we get into it, let's break down this playoff seeding. As you know, if you've been following this team, everything's haywire, everything's hectic. It is a mad dash to the finish to see where the seeding will take place. So as it currently stands, we are at first place in the Western Division with 46 points. As a reminder, playoff seeding is determined by points in the Cape Cod Baseball League. Behind us, the Cotuit Kettleers with 43 points, and then Wareham Gatemen tied with them also in 43 points. And then Bourne is sitting behind all three of us in fourth place. But guys, this morning, the Cotuit Kettleers played game one of their doubleheader against the Falmouth Commodores today. That game ended in a Falmouth Commodores victory. Because of that, Mike, if we win here today against the Wareham Gatemen, we clinch first place in the Western Division. Absolutely crucial game here. Extremely excited. I know I'm excited. Hopefully these players are excited. Hopefully they go out and perform and get that top seed in the West, Mike.
That would definitely be huge to get that home field advantage. We've obviously talked about it every episode, it seems. The Harbor Hawks have a lot of success at McKeon Park, come away with wins more often than not when we're here. So definitely the more home games you can get, the better. You'll have that first home game for the first round and the second round as well. And then, not sure exactly, I guess it would go off of points for the championship. So we'll get there when we get there, but definitely would be a good win to get tonight. But as you mentioned, everybody's excited. Intern Appreciation Day. You can see our school shirts, colors here today. Intern Appreciation Night for the Hyannis Harbor Hawks. Feels great to be appreciated, as always. But really good baseball being played, as you mentioned. Definitely, probably we talked about it the other day with the Cotuit game. This is now probably the biggest game of the season to this point. It's basically, you know, win or not go home, but win or play on the road possibly. So if you want to play at home, got to come away with a win tonight.
For sure, Mike. And not only would it clinch us that home field advantage through the western half of the playoffs, it would make tomorrow's game against the YD Red Sox essentially a non-factor. You could save all your important arms as you will no longer be fighting for seeding. Playing an Eastern Division team, nothing will matter. Just go out there, play a clean, safe game, and get everyone ready for the wild card first round of the playoffs. But we can't get too far ahead of ourselves, Mike. We still have a game today to play against the Gatemen. Before we get into that, Mike, talk to me about the season series we've had so far against this Wareham team.
So far against the Gatemen, 3-1 to this point. So definitely a team that we've shown we can beat. And even most recently, a 15-8 win crossing the bridge, going over to Wareham to play at their home turf, well, home gravel, and came away with a 15-8 win. That was a huge victory for the Harbor Hawks. Definitely, we hadn't seen the bats really get going for a bit there, and definitely that game really seemed to spark things. Bats really got going. Michael DeTalo, 6 RBIs, I believe, was that game, right?
100%. Yeah, it was.
That was that game, yeah. So big game for him. Big game for the team overall, though. 15 runs. I mean, you're almost guaranteeing yourself a win if you're able to have that much of an offensive output. So definitely looking to replicate that tonight offensively. Pitching defensively, 8 runs surrendered, but really overall it was a few innings in the middle of the game there that really got away. Other than that, though, really solid overall from the entire pitching staff, as they've been for a while now. So definitely a team that is definitely beatable tonight. We've shown that so far this season. And again, we mentioned it earlier, this team plays really well at home, the Hyannis Harbor Hawks do. So definitely looking to come away with a win in a game that's definitely winnable, definitely attainable, and definitely will be a huge one to come away with.
Certainly, Mike. We've already clinched the season series against the Wareham Gatemen, but the biggest game of the season, like you said, to date, comes tonight for the Hyannis Harbor Hawks. They look to clinch the Western Division. Last night, for this Harbor Hawk squad, we didn't get a win in the score column. We got a win in the standings battle. A 6-6 tie against the Bourne Braves gave each team a point, put us in the position we are now where we're 3 points ahead of the Cotuit Kettleers. And with the result earlier today, Mike, we control our destiny. Talk to me about the specifics of that game.
Yeah, every point matters. Definitely not necessarily a game that you wanted to come away with a tie in, but judging how things were going, you know, down 5-0 early, able to come back and tie things at 6-6, and then even there in that last inning of game that we had, Bourne had second and third with 1 out. So definitely not necessarily happy to come away with a tie, but there's worse outcomes. So definitely an interesting game. The Harbor Hawks, though, battling back really showed again that when they're down, they're not out. No matter the score, no matter the inning, doesn't really matter at all. So definitely a big game for the team. Joe Stieber definitely last night really showed that he can be an arm that this team can trust down the stretch. Went 4 scoreless, I believe, last night in his second outing. And after his first outing, we were kind of wondering if he was going to bounce back and have a good second chance at pitching in the Cape Cod Baseball League, and he really did last night. So definitely that looks promising. And then Mason White got that game-tying hit last night. That was big for him. So definitely all around a game that looked like it was getting out of hand early on, and then pulled things together, got things going, tied it up, and then the fog really came in and kind of soiled any type of win for either team, any win opportunity. So tough game. Obviously, Bourne has really kind of had our number so far this season. Haven't got a win against Bourne. Unbelievable to this point, but might see them in the first round. So definitely a team that needs to figure things out against. But anyways, big tie for the win, or big tie for the team last night. Definitely, again, looking for a win, but a point's a point.
You mentioned, Mike, 0-3-2 against those Bourne Braves so far this season, but a point is a point. Puts us exactly where we want to be as the season comes to a screeching halt here. But on the other side, the Wareham Gatemen had an unreal game last night, Mike. That was a 10-9 victory against the Cotuit Kettleers, who we've been jockeying with for first place for quite some time now. In that game, Mike, the Kettleers out-hit the Gatemen 18-9. Not to mention, they got up to an 8-0 lead. With all that, after all that, Mike, it didn't matter. The Gatemen ended up coming away with the victory. I mean, you look at those numbers. You can't make this up.
Can't make it up. Definitely the biggest win for them this season so far. Definitely set us up in a good spot right now to hopefully be able to clinch the West. So huge game. We mentioned our comeback last night. That was unbelievable. 8-0 coming back from down that big deficit. So definitely this Wareham team is not one that you can breeze over. This is not a game that's going to be easy. This is a team that can rally and score runs at will and really can hold things down. Obviously, the pitching staff didn't have a great start to that game last night, but really settled in and kept runs off the board down the stretch. So definitely a dangerous Wareham team that showed last night that they're a force to be reckoned with, and definitely this is going to be a tough game for the Harbor Hawks to come away with a win, but definitely one that is attainable and doable. Well, only time will tell. We've got to see what happens.
Only time will tell. But, Mike, worth noting in that game is that the Wareham Gatemen manager, Ryan Smythe, was ejected early in the first half. And in the Cape Cod Baseball League, if you get ejected, you have to serve a 1-game suspension. So Ryan Smythe will not be managing this game against the Hyannis Harbor Hawks. We'll see if that plays a factor tonight in this matchup. I'm not sure who will be taking over in his place, but it's worth mentioning that Smythe will not be running the show for the Gatemen today. Interested to see how that affects the team.
Yeah, 100%. We don't know exactly, like you said, who's going to fill in that role, but definitely I'm sure it'll be a loss for them. Obviously, every team has a manager in place for a reason. They're the leader of the team, telling everybody what to do, getting things settled, making sure everybody's on the same page, and really that's going to be definitely a loss. I know if Mitch Carricker wasn't around for one of these Harbor Hawks games, this team wouldn't look the same. So definitely a big loss for Wareham tonight. We'll see how that plays out, but again, only time will tell.
Of course, unsure if he will take place, but one man who could take that place is Eric Luxus, their pitching coach, former pitching coach with the Hyannis Harbor Hawks. So we'll see how it unfolds tonight, Mike. But let's talk about our starting pitchers that are going to be on the bump. Talk to me about Aaron Meshulam, the Michigan State.
Aaron Meshulam, 6'7", right-handed pitcher, as you mentioned, from Michigan State. 50 1/3 innings pitched at school this spring, 19 appearances, 4 starts, a 4.65 ERA, 50 strikeouts, 14 walks, and 54 hits. A lot of hits allowed, a lot of base runners, but that ERA is not super high. Kept them off the scoreboard, so that's a win. So far, though, on Cape, pitched 2 innings for Cotuit, then came over here to pitch for the better team. Overall, though, 15 2/3 innings pitched between the two teams, 9 appearances, 1 start, under a 5 ERA at 4.88, 11 strikeouts, 10 walks, 17 hits. So again, good amount of base runners through those innings, but that ERA could be a lot worse, judging from how many hits he's allowed and how many walks he's allowed. Definitely has settled in over his more recent outings with the Harbor Hawks. Definitely has shown improvement. So hopefully he can continue that tonight. 1 start so far, so he does have that preparation, as we always mention, with getting that start. We'll see how he kind of gets his things going again tonight. Obviously a big game, big start needed from Aaron Meshulam, but only time will tell. Hopefully he can have his best stuff going tonight against a pretty good Wareham lineup that'll definitely scare, definitely put some runs on the board if we're not careful.
Going against a pretty good Wareham lineup, Mike, and a pretty good Wareham starting pitcher the Harbor Hawks should be familiar with. Once again, facing Darren Horn, the 2023 Hyannis Harborhawks pitcher himself, plays for Coastal Carolina, did not pitch this past season at school because he tore his labrum in the fall, rehabbing from that injury, and has come back and has pitched pretty well to the Gatemen. However, Mike, last time we saw Wareham in that 15-8 affair, we saw Horn, and we were able to get to him early. Talk about that performance.
Yeah, definitely. He did not have his best stuff going that game. That was not very long ago, only on July 29th, so very, very short time ago. He's back at it, ready to go. Went 1 1/3 inning on that day against Hyannis. 5 earned runs, 4 hits, 3 walks, and only 1 strikeout. So definitely big numbers for the Harborhawks being put up through that game offensively. Definitely Darren Horn's going to look to bounce back. I guess they wanted the matchup, though. They liked it, obviously. They're going to throw him back out there. We'll see. Obviously, like you mentioned, Eric Luxus, pitching coach with the Harborhawks, back now with Wareham, back with Darren Horn. Maybe they learned something from that first game, and maybe he'll be coming back and showing his better stuff. But as you mentioned, he really has been pretty solid to this point on the Cape Cod Baseball League this season. Just so far, his 5 starts, under a 4 ERA. So definitely things really went wrong, giving up 5 runs in that first inning and a third that he pitched against Hyannis. We'll see which version of him we get tonight. Hopefully it's the one that gives up 5 runs in an inning, though. That'd be pretty nice for the Harborhawks.
Certainly, Mike. Darren Horn, though, like you mentioned, has been solid. When you take away that 1 start, I know he has a sub-2 ERA. He might have a sub-1 ERA on Cape when you take away his performance against us. So he's been phenomenal so far this summer with 1 bad start. That's going to inflate that earned run average just a little bit. So really, it's just a tale of which Darren Horn is on the mound tonight. Hey, he knows this McKean ballpark. We'll see if he gets a little home cooking of sort. Not his home anymore, but it was his home. So like you said, Mike, only time will tell. We're going to have to see what version of Darren Horn we get tonight. And with that being said, Mike, time to go. Let's take it to the fan favorite segment on Intern Appreciation Day. Which player will show their appreciation for the interns by giving us a great performance?
You know, we didn't talk about this before the show. I hope I'm not taking your picks. I know he's a popular pick with you. I'm going to go with maybe, when you look at who's been the most productive players throughout the summer, Kane Kepley's got to be near the top of that list. Leading the team in home runs, leading the league in walks, stolen bases. He's just, this guy's phenomenal. A menace. Played great defense, obviously, as well. I'm going to go with Kane Kepley. Not sure if he'll be batting leadoff. Not sure if he'll be. We do have a lineup, do we?
We do. He's not batting cleanup. He's not batting leadoff. He is batting third tonight.
Third. Perfect spot for Kane Kepley to drive in some runs, hopefully. So definitely love him to, continue his success at left-handed bat against the right-handed Darren Horn. I hope that he can kind of get things back going where he's maybe at a little bit of a cold stretch. But for Kane Kepley, is it really that much of a cold stretch?
He hit a homer against Katuitt.
He did. So really,
and a second RBI.
He really has been great over the entire course of the season. In a big game like this, though, I like the Harborhawks stars to really show out, and Kane Kepley is definitely one of those guys. I look for him to have a big game tonight against Wareham.
I love that pick, Mike. You mentioned I've picked him so many times because when the team runs right, it runs through Kane Kepley. Phenomenal player. In the running for Harborhawks MVP, I've mentioned I'm a firm believer that Aaron Savory's also in that race. There are a few players up there. Kane Kepley certainly a name you have to throw in the ring there. I'm going to go another route, another player who's been here for a long time this summer and has done very well. That is going to be Michael Detallo, the DBU Patriot. He's been a great player. Shout out to Nico Sharp. Recorded a Sharp segment with Detallo earlier today. Stay tuned for that to be right here on the Harborhawks YouTube channel. Detallo, a guy who's very simple in his approach, very calm, and is very effective at the plate. I think that's going to pay dividends tonight. He's going to face this Gatemen team, and like he did last time, he's going to have a great game. I'm not going to call 6 RBIs, but I'm going to call a great game for him, leading the player of the game for Michael Detallo, back-to-back matchups against this Wareham Gatemen team.
He obviously enjoys hitting against this Wareham Gatemen team, obviously. We saw 6 RBIs, as you mentioned. Maybe he can replicate something similar. That'd be great. Obviously, 6 RBIs is definitely going to be hard to do again, but even half that is still a great game. So definitely love that pick. He had a great game last time. Hopefully he can replicate it again tonight.
For sure, Mike. And with that being said, let's move on to a segment that came from your brain right there. That would be the score prediction segment of this matchup. Mike, I'm going to take a minute to think. Not sure where I'm going on this. I have an idea, but I'm going to base my prediction off yours. Go ahead.
I'm going to say this is obviously a game. End of the season, 2 games left. Last home game for the Harborhawks. I think they're going to be excited going into playoffs, want to get things going, want to clinch that Western Division with a win tonight. I'm going to say they're going to come away with a win. I'm going to say very, very close game. I think Wareham's going to bring their best stuff. It's not going to be enough. 6-5 Harbor Hawks, 1-run game, very close, middle of the range scoring, not super high scoring, not super low scoring. But I love the Harbor Hawks to really just battle, and I think it's going to be a close one all the way throughout this game down to the wire. And I think the Harbor Hawks will come out on top.
I like that pick, Mike. I'm going to say this game is going to be very similar to the game we saw in Spillane Field last time. It's going to be a high-scoring affair. The Harbor Hawks are going to put up runs, but unfortunately so are the Gatemen. But we will still come out on top. That's going to lead to a 12-8 victory for the Hyannis Harbor Hawks tonight against the Wareham Gatemen.
Is that what you picked?
Oh, it is. Unintentional.
I think that's the exact same score you picked at the last time we played against Wareham.
And it was 12-8 at one point. Unfortunately, our bats are too hot. Scored 3 more runs. But I guess clearly my heart's telling me something. I didn't even mean that. But yeah, we're sticking with our guns. 12-8 here at home, McKeon Ballpark, to clinch the Western Division, Mike.
That would be a huge, huge statement victory, rounding out the regular season on a really hot note.
Holy smokes, would that be amazing, Mike? And it would make tomorrow's game at Red Wilson Field kind of a formality because both squads would have locked up first place in their respective divisions. So let's take a step back. Let's breathe. Let's watch this game. Thank you. And hope this Hyannis Harbor Hawks team comes through once again like they've done so many times right here at McKeon Ballpark. Mike, thank you so much for joining me. Fans, thank you so much for watching all season long. We're coming down to the end. I don't want to think about it. Last home game of the regular season. Let's hope these Harbor Hawks win tonight and a couple more times so we get a few more parking lot previews, guys. Thanks again. Drop a like, drop a comment. Just say hi. Catch us right here at McKeon Ballpark, 6 p.m. first pitch, or on the Hyannis Harbor Hawks Baseball Network on YouTube, or over on Cape League TV on Huddle. Thanks so much. Go Hawks!